Sunny Radio 96.5, Paul Simon's Graceland. Sunny Sunrise Show 844. Good morning. It's a Friday morning. Yay, look who's here. Pamela from New Hope Counseling. Good morning.
Good morning, Diana.
So, every Friday we kind of get some counseling around here. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about a book that came out last week called Women Can't Have It All.
Okay.
And it's about women who get really high-paid jobs. Mm-hmm. And what does this do to the families? And it got me thinking about the people who come into counseling. And I was surprised to find that 26% of women earn more than their man.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that isn't necessarily the case here in Kerr County. But what happens when your wife earns more than you do? Mm-hmm. What does that do to the guys?
What does that do to the guys?
Well, it can be pretty devastating. And, it can be actually devastating not only to the guy, but also to the girl.
Really?
Yeah. Because, women, guess what the big G word is for ladies? Guilt.
Okay.
So you can actually go out and get a really good job and then spend the day feeling guilty that you're earning more than your husband. Like, how idiotic is that?
Yeah, we shouldn't do that.
Well, yeah, but it's hard not to. Mm-hmm. And then there's quite a few guys, especially since the big economic crash 4 years ago, who are actually stay-at-home dads.
Right, I know of a lot of those, yeah.
And, that's really great. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really nice for dads to be able to stay home and mind the kids. But then they feel guilty, too, that they're not out taking care of, of breadwinning. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised how many of these families actually come through our doors looking for counseling.
So what advice do you give?
Well, it depends. But
every circumstance is different.
Every circumstance, well, of course, that's a big catch-all. Mm-hmm. But, if this is something that is causing you guilt or friction, it's really important to look for counseling.
And deal with it.
And
Don't
deal
just
with
ignore
it.
it.
No.
Because it won't go away.
It does not go away. What happens in some cases, I'm sorry to say, is that the big A comes in, alcohol. And guys sometimes are apt to get depressed when they're staying at home looking after the children. And, another thing that counseling does that people don't realize is sometimes, we can help you look for job skills, develop your job skills. If you're a guy and you really want to get back to work, counseling can help you look at different ways that you can develop your job skills. Counseling isn't all touchy-feely, folks. It's not all about how you feel. We can be really practical and help you look at ways that you can develop your job skills. And then help you look at the ways that you can improve your relationship and look at the big G, the guilt word. Okay. Oh, gosh, how I hate that. You would just be amazed at how that plays into relationships. But, there are a lot of women breadwinners in our community. And there's a lot of imbalance in the relationships because of this.
Well, let's work on fixing it.
Yeah. And maybe next week we'll talk about men who can't have it all.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.